This video is not for reality, but for imagination. If you are watching now in the silence of the night, put your phone aside, close your eyes for a moment, and let the words paint the pictures inside your mind. Don't think too much about whether this is real or not, because in this video, imagination is what leads the story.
Your brain is being hijacked by a cheese hot dog. Now, I know, that probably sounds absolutely wild, right? But seriously, wake up and open your eyes, because we're about to look at the undeniable, hard science behind literally one of the greatest street food combinations ever assembled. Okay, so let's just dive right into this, because, well, there's a moment. You know the one. A really specific, unrepeatable, maybe even slightly embarrassing moment that anyone who's ever had a perfectly made cheese hot dog totally understands. It's that exact fraction of a second when the bread just gives way, the casing of the sausage snaps, and then that molten, flowing, impossibly rich cheese makes direct contact with your tongue. Your brain registers something so immediately profoundly satisfying that you literally just stop whatever conversation you are having, you just eat. No apologies, no explanations, just pure, unadulterated joy.
To really understand why this happens, we kind of need to look at how this crazy combination actually conquered the globe. It all started back in 1950s America. Diners just started stuffing sausages with cheese and pouring processed cheese sauce all over chili dogs. It was this classic Depression-era comfort food, super filling, super affordable, and just deeply satisfying. But the evolution definitely didn't stop there. As the idea traveled, different cultures took the concept and completely transformed it into their own local masterpieces.
And honestly, this just brilliantly illustrates how amazingly adaptable this pairing is. Like over in Japan, street vendors started wrapping the entire sausage in this crazy spiraling vortex of melted cheese. They call it a hypnotic cheese tornado, which is just an awesome name. Meanwhile, in South Korea, the cheese hot dog basically became high art. They stuff it with low-moisture mozzarella, coat the whole thing in a rice flour batter, and deep fry it. The result? That iconic, incredibly dramatic pull-apart cheese stretch that literally stops everyone around you in their tracks.
Now let's jump over to Mexico and see how this builds into an entire meal. Enter the Danger Dog. This is the undisputed king of late-night street food from Tijuana all the way up to Los Angeles. You take a bacon-wrapped sausage, top it with grilled onions, fresh tomatoes, a holy trinity of mayo, mustard, and ketchup, and then crown the whole shebang with melted Oaxacan or cheddar cheese and jalapenos. It hits every single flavor receptor: meat, sweet, acid, rich, spicy, bam, simultaneously. It's wild.
But the weirdest is yet to come, because the magic of all these global variations, it isn't just about culture. It is about exact, undeniable science. There is a very precise sensory chemistry happening inside your mouth the second these ingredients combine.
Food scientists actually call this a flavor relay race, and it's happening right here. A perfect cheese hot dog hits your palate with 4 distinct textures in this incredibly rapid sequence. First, you get the snap of the casing, that little moment of physical resistance. Second, you hit the soft, juicy, fat-rich interior of the meat. Third comes the flowing, smooth liquid of the hot cheese. And finally, the yielding give of the bread. This sequential variety in texture completely bypasses your normal hunger cues and drives what scientists call hedonic eating. Basically, your brain demands the next bite purely for the pleasure of feeling that sequence all over again.
And then there's the salt. Now, a hot dog is heavily salted. Cheese is heavily salted. Put them together, and technically it should be a total culinary disaster, but the exact opposite happens. Why? Well, the salt in the meat is bound to meat proteins, meaning it releases gradually as you chew. But the salt in the cheese is bound to dairy proteins, which releases on a totally different timeline. They don't stack on top of each other, they stagger. It's the exact same sophisticated culinary magic that makes salted caramel so impossible to resist. It's all about the timing.
What nobody knows is the chemistry goes even deeper than that. We're talking about a literal, biological hijacking of your nervous system.
We call this the dopamine mechanism. Okay, so first off, cheese contains these things called casomorphins. They're basically peptides that physically bind to the opioid receptors in your brain, triggering these feelings of intense satisfaction. Second, the heavy combo of fat and salt independently triggers a massive dopamine release. And third, the Maillard browning. Those gorgeous crispy grill marks on the sausage casing, that activates even more pleasure pathways. So what you have is this triple threat neurological hijack packed into a single bite. And that is the complete scientific precision behind why you can almost never eat just one.
So if the science is this precise, it means the ingredients have to be too. I mean, the specific cheese you choose entirely changes the whole character of the experience. Mozzarella, that gives you the clean, dramatic stretch. A Gruyere sauce transforms the dog into this elegant, fine dining street food. Raclette drapes over the meat in these theatrical, textured folds. A proper cheddar sauce provides a beautifully flowing, sharp flavor where the cheese acts as a perfect co-start of meat. But out of all of these, there was one undisputed king.
Yes, the #1 choice, the absolute champion of the cheese hot dog universe. Well, it might actually surprise you, especially because it's so often looked down upon by culinary purists.
The crucial point here is that processed American cheese is an absolute culinary genius. Technically speaking, it is the optimal choice for a classic hot dog. And it all comes down to an ingredient called sodium citrate, which allows American cheese to maintain a permanently stable melt. It flows smoothly, it stays perfectly glossy, it literally never separates into those gross, greasy pools, and miraculously, it clings right to the curved surface of the sausage without sliding off. Plus, the mild, creamy flavor actually supports the heavy seasoning of the meat rather than fighting with it. I mean, it is just pure, functional perfection. Now, of course, that cheese needs a proper foundation to work its magic. A classic commercial blend of 60% beef and 40% pork provides the absolute ideal fat and moisture matrix. When you heat it up, that fat renders, creating a super rich, mouth-coating experience that interacts flawlessly with the dairy fat of the cheese. It's basically delivering flavor compounds across your palate from multiple directions at once.
But listen closely, because all of this perfect meat and cheese chemistry can be completely ruined by one really simple mistake. The bread is not just a holder for the meat. It is a structural moisture management system. So, the critical rule is this. You absolutely must always toast the cut surface of the bread. Toasting creates a slight crust on the interior that stops the flowing cheese and the juicy meat from soaking into the bun and turning it into a soggy, falling-apart mess. If you fail to toast the bread, you literally destroy everything the sausage and the cheese have worked so hard to achieve. And honestly, all of this brilliantly illustrates the final truth of our explainer today. A perfect cheese hot dog is not some simple thing pretending to be sophisticated. It is a highly sophisticated masterpiece hidden in plain sight as a simple street snack. When you choose the right sausage, melt the genius cheese perfectly, toast the bread for structural integrity, and execute the whole thing with intention, man, you create absolute magic.
It all just comes right back to that visceral sensory moment we talked about at the very beginning. The snap of the casing, the flow of the cheese, the salt, the fat, the casomorphins, all of it arriving at the exact same moment. It requires zero analysis and no justification, just pure joy.
So what does this all mean for you? Well, the next time you find yourself standing at a late-night food cart or hovering over your own stove at 2 in the morning, just remember the incredible science and history you're holding in your hand. Are you ready to take that bite, feel that unrepeatable moment, and eat without apology? I highly, highly encourage you to go out and experience this undeniable culinary perfection for yourself. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep your curiosity and your appetite wide open.